In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a vintage looping animation in Adobe After Effects. For this tutorial, we're going to use a free image available on unsplash.com, as well as some vintage film elements from film textures by AEJuice.com. The link for both will be in the description down below. Without any further ado, let's dive straight into the video. Alright, so we're here in a clean Adobe After Effects file, and we're going to create a new composition that's 2000 by 2000 pixels. And don't worry, we will actually be working with a full HD composition in the end, but for the first part we just need a new composition of 2000 by 2000. Let's make it 10 seconds and start by importing our photo. But of course you can just use any photo that you like. I'm just going to do it with this hand image right here. Let's scale this down a little bit and move it down as well. And right off the bat, I'm actually going to open up the transform section here. And we're going to play a little bit with the anchor point as well. So we want this anchor point to be above finger of our image here, like this. And if you don't know what the anchor point is, it's this little crosshair in the middle of the image. Or not in the middle of the image anymore, but on the image. Now we're just going to move the position to make this appear from the corner of our image. Let's just move it up a little bit for now, because we're going to cut out part of this. And later in the video, we're just going to move it further down again. For now, we want to click on the pen tool here. And with the pen tool, we are going to draw out a line around our image here. By clicking and dragging. And you just want to follow the lines of your subject here. I'm just going to fast forward until I'm finished with creating this outline. And as soon as you connect the first point to the final point, you actually should have an applied mask onto your image, as you can see on my screen right here. And by the way, if you're wondering how I can see the transparency grid, you can see that by toggling this button right here. All right, so now that we've cut out the full amount, let's just move this further down again. I think somewhere around here should do the trick. And the next thing that I want to do is play around with the animation of the rotation and the anchor point. We can see the anchor point right here, as well as the rotation for a bit further down. And let's start by clicking on the stopwatches next to both of these. We have a composition of 10 seconds long, so I figured maybe we'll just cycle this animation twice. So I am now at 2 seconds and 15 frames, and if I press Ctrl or Command K on my keyboard, you can see that the duration of my composition is 10 seconds and the frame rate is 30. So that means that we're at a quarter way of our full composition animation length. And here we want to just change these keyframes a little bit. I'm just going to rotate this a little bit like this, play around with the settings of the anchor point to see what this motion brings us. So let's try and see what this does. And this is kind of like the motion I'm looking for. Let's select both of the first keyframes and just go to the 5 second mark and let's paste them there. So now we have this returning animation. And the next thing that I want to do is hold Alt or Option if you're on the Mac and click on the stopwatch here and type in loop out with these parentheses behind it. And let's do that for the rotation as well. And what this means is that the keyframe animation will just continue looping right after the last keyframe. So now if we check it out, after the keyframe animation, it will just repeat this, as you can see right here. And finally, we want to select these and then press F9 on your keyboard. And this will ease the animation just a little bit. As you can see, it now looks a little bit more natural. All right, now we want to right click on our hand layer and click on pre-compose and move all attributes into our new layer. And we'll call this hand pre-comp. And what's happened now is we have two compositions, the comp 1, which we're working in right now. And if we double click on hand pre-comp, as you can see, this will open up a new composition where our full hands animation is. And the next thing we want to do is click on Ctrl or Command K on your keyboard, and this will bring up the composition settings. And we'll just change these right back to full HD settings, which is 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels. So the next thing that we want to do is duplicate all of these hands. And we're going to do that by pressing Ctrl or Command D on our keyboard. And we'll continue doing that until we have 8 copies of this. Let's select the first 7 and press R on our keyboard to bring up the rotation panels. And essentially all we need to do is just increase the increments by 45 degrees with each layer. So the first one's going to be 45, the second one's going to be 90, the third one's going to be 135, and so forth. So let me just do this real quick. You should have ended up with something like this. If you see the hands cutting off right here, what you can do is basically go into your hand pre-comp and make it a little bit bigger. So let's go 2500 by 2500, and this should fix that right up. All right, so now we have our animation. Let's select all of these and just remove the rotation panel for a second. And now we want to go to layer, new adjustment layer. And we're going to make this black and white by searching for the hue saturation effect here. Let's drop that onto the adjustment layer, turn the master saturation to 0. Next, we're going to need a background. So let's add a new solid layer. And what I tend to do with this is I'm just going to go and click on the eyedropper tool and click on the darkest shadows here from the hand and then click OK. And if we move this all the way to the background, you can see that it kind of matches up with the shadows rather than if we've done it like fully black like this. As you can see, to me personally, this just looks a little bit worse than this. But of course, this is all matter of taste. So now we want to make this vintage looking, and the way we're going to do that is with the AEJuice pack manager. So this is a plugin for After Effects where you can get access to all of the packs on AEJuice.com with an instant. For us, let's go and search for film textures, and let's click on this pack and it'll open right up if you got it for yourself. First thing that I want to do is add a color grain. So let's click on color grain 2 because I like that it's a little bit green, and import it, and it'll automatically be imported right onto our file here. So if you go back to our composition, you can see that it's already applied with the correct blend modes and everything, as you can see also in the timeline right here. Let's also add in this one right here. Just select it and click on import. And let's go back to our composition and we'll just change the blend mode to multiply so that the darker frames will just overlay the rest of the animation. And then finally, we need one more adjustment layer. All we need to do is we're going to posterize the time here. And what that means is we can just make the frame rate a little bit lower. So let's lower this to 18 frames per second and let's see what this looks like. So there you go. That's how you make a vintage looping animation in Adobe After Effects. If you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to subscribe for more. If you want to get the textures used in this video, as well as many other video creation and animation tools, go to AEJuice.com. The link for that will be in the description down below, as well as the free image that we use for Unsplash.com. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next tutorial.